Blues Matters here. We have Mike Zito today. How are you doing, Mike? Where
Well,
are you?
I'm doing really well, Colin. I'm at home, which is not always usual.
Yeah, you've been touring Europe. You've been to
Yes,
Scandinavia. Tell us about that. How was the crowds and things like that?
excellent. I mean, really, really good. We started in Norway, Denmark, then we kind of did mainland Germany, Belgium, France, Netherlands. Was honestly probably, I mean, I've been touring there a long time. One of the best tours. Felt like we really had excellent crowds, a lot of enthusiasm. So it was great.
Do you find much difference between a European crowd and an American crowd?
I think I thought so maybe at first because early on in and it's like, and I played so long in the United States where I was like a bar band, playing not always playing my own music and things like that. And so then when I got to playing my own music, it's like it took a while to really find the audience. There was more of an audience waiting for me in Europe because I think, they've been accustomed to a lot of blues and jazz artists coming over from America. And I mean, I remember my first shows in Europe thinking, wow, and they didn't have any idea who I was. It just said, blues guitarist from America. And 100 people in Belgium showed up because that was enough to interest their to get them to want to come out. I think now it's similar. If we have a room full of music lovers, it's a pretty similar thing. Although, boy, the definitely the European crowds, I mean, they definitely get into it for sure.
And festivals or intimate gigs, what do you prefer?
Well, I mean, I know this sounds like a cop out, but I do really enjoy when it's a nice small gig. I do like to be able to see the people's faces or interact with them or be able to maybe even like speak to them, not just to a crowd of people, but like one-on-one. I guess if I have to pick, that's probably my favorite.
Right. And what made you want to be a musician in the first place?
Well, I guess I just enjoyed entertaining from a young age. Like I wanted to be in front of people and dance, sing, act. I did all of those things as a kid. And guitar was, and then I fell in love with the guitar. But I just thought all along I wanted to do something like that, entertaining. And my father worked at Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser, like the brewery in St. Louis. I mean, he worked there his whole, 40 years. And my brother worked there. And I would go there as a kid and I just hated it. So I just, in the back of my head, thought, I'm not working there. And I got to find a way to do this other thing. And I think music and the guitar, by the time I got out of high school, was like, well, I probably won't be able to just become an actor or move to Los Angeles, or I don't know what I'm doing. But maybe I could learn to play guitar. And I started, working at a music store and seeing older guys that was their life. Their job was like, they had gigs every weekend and all week. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I can do that. That's what I'm going to do. That was really the initial was I did not want to do hard labor. I didn't want to be stuck at the brewery, and I wanted to do some kind of entertainment. And then just the guitar became such an obsession. It just made sense.
Great. And blues music in particular, what was the first blues record that you heard?
Well, yeah, that's good. I mean, I don't think I definitely didn't know what blues was. My parents were a lot older. My dad was like 50 years older than me. And I was like, oops, kind of a situation. He listened to big band music and Frank Sinatra and crooners. But the closest siblings I had were, 11, 15, 18 years older. And I got their rock and roll records. And Van Halen was my first. Like as a little kid, I just thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I mean, I still do, but looking back, it's like I always liked, Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix, things that were kind of bluesy, even some of that old Van Halen, they would do some old, like kind of, rocked up old blues songs and stuff. And I think the very first record that I got, though, where I was like, "Oh, I'm buying that," was Gary Moore, Still Got the Blues. And I would have been about 19, I guess. And it was the kind of thing where one of the guys at the music store said, "I think you like blues." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, maybe I do," And then he said, "Well, this just came out. This guy's a rock guitar player, but he loves blues. And he just made this." It was like the perfect record for me because here they are playing all these classic blues songs, and he's got Albert King and Albert Collins. And so I'm getting turned on to like, wow, those are the originals. But he's also just shredding away on the guitar, which is, of course, what I was like really into. So it was a perfect introduction. And then that led me down the path of, well, if you like that, maybe let's get an Albert King record. Let's get a BB King record, So it was like that.
Excellent. Moving on, though, you have a new album coming out.
Yes.
How about talking about that?
Love it.
What was the production of it and everything?
Yeah. Well, it's called Outside of the East Side, which I know is weird at first, kind of like, what does that mean? But, the last record I made on my own was Life is Hard. And that album is, super produced by Joe Bonamassa. I mean, in a good way, master production, master everything, top shelf studio, all of it was all done to what I would call to perfection, like really. And I thought, well, I can't do that again. And I don't always know how to do that, which is exactly why I asked my friend Joe and Josh Smith to help me, because that album and the meaning and dedication behind it deserved the utmost. But it was like, oh, well, let's just go back to what you do and what you started doing, which was, I thought, playing blues, even though it was pretty much rock. I thought it was blues. And, it's in the moment and loose and improvised and funky and edgy and a little over the top. And I had moved back to St. Louis, and it was like, yeah, let's like go back and kind of not start over, just kind of revisit, like, remember when it was just like, we're going to go have fun tonight and just let her rip. So, we went to a great studio here in St. Louis called Shock City Studios, which is right down in the city, probably 5-minute drive from where I was born and raised. And so it was cool to be like down in the hood where it's all going on, and a wonderful, world-class studio. But I just brought, the guys in my band that I love playing with, and we went in and, I had a bunch of songs, and there's a lot of blues, there's covers, because we used to do that. And I was kind of thinking about Still Got the Blues, and it was like, yeah, let's go back and kind of just make a really fun record. Not the last one was so heavy. Let's do something fun, lighthearted, enjoyable, something that would be really fun to play live, something that people would want to put on if they're having a cookout or a party, or, and that's what we did. Outside, or the East Side, was something that was said. I played, like every night downtown St. Louis for a decade. And it would close down at 3. The bars would close at 3 a.m. And if that wasn't, if that was still too early for you, then you could drive across the bridge, across the Mississippi to East St. Louis, or to the east side of the river, which is Illinois. You're not in Missouri anymore. And those bars over there would be open 24 hours. So the band would get finished playing at 2:30 in the morning, and the bouncers and the bartenders, and they'd all start yelling, "Get out. Outside of the East Side, get out," trying to clear the place. And it's similar to the, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah.
But it was more aggressive, more rude. It was more of a get the hell out, outside of the East Side, let's go. And, God, I've just known that phrase forever. So the album cover is a picture of the alley and the bar that I really cut my teeth. That's about 2 blocks from the Mississippi River. There was a bar down in the basement called Boomers. I played there every weekend, Friday and Saturday night, and every weekend we went to the East Side at 3:30 in the morning and kept partying until the sun came up. And usually there's bands there playing, and then I knew that band, and then I'd go play with them. I mean, it was just really super fun. So yeah, that's a lot of answer for one question.
Yeah. You talk about the song. What came first, the lyrics or the riff or what? Your songwriting technique, have you got a songwriting technique as such?
Well, I don't, I mean, I think I do and I don't. It's really funny because I always want to write a good song, of course. If I was not doing something that I wanted to do, like this particular record, of course I want some good songs. But I'm also trying to stay in the guitar mode and fun. And I'm so far, it's been such a minute since that was the focus. It's usually always been like storytelling, songwriting. And I'll tell you, it's harder to me to write a song. It's hard to write a blues song if it's going to be any good. It's easy to write a terrible blues song. There's a million of those. So that to me is probably the hardest thing. If I'm going to sit down and do an album like Gone to Texas or Greyhound, or, I've got this story in mind that's dramatic and part of my life, that probably involves me getting up in the morning, drinking some coffee, getting an acoustic guitar out, sitting down, kind of looking at a list of ideas, seeing what comes to mind. What I would think is more of like kind of a typical songwriting process, writing through some pieces and bits to see what sticks and see if amazing happens. Sometimes the best songs like Gone to Texas or Forever My Love, those are songs that I just picked the guitar up, strummed the guitar, started singing, and oh my gosh, what just happened? That was not the process on this album, because trying to kind of think about, I need a cool guitar riff. Boy, I don't know how to put those two together.
Yeah.
How do I come up with a cool guitar riff and then write some lyrics, So in this case, other than the songs that we were covering, I kind of wrote them in the moment, you know. We
Right.
did it in the studio. We get in there, start playing something. Hey, I got this idea on guitar. And I kind of play this little riff. Oh yeah, that's really cool. And I'm like, and I knew maybe I knew what it was called, Outside of the East Side, that song. And I knew the idea. And then I'd go, okay, let me see how I can, once we'd get an idea how the music went, then I'd go in another room for 20 minutes, and I'd try to come up with something that wasn't too clumsy and told the story and had the vibe. And I'd come back in and go, okay, I think I got it. Like, I think that's also a super fun process, because for me, it's just as exciting as for anybody. I'm like, well, I don't know what we're going to write about. Let's see what happens. I like that also. So I guess I have a couple processes. It just depends on what I'm trying to do.
Right.
But I really like this idea of, yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. Let's see what happens when we get there, because it's more of a moment in time thing
Right.
than a like very pre-planned, organized, arranged thing, which is also good. It's just a different feel.
I'm thinking of particularly the song Downtown at Midnight.
Yeah, yeah. Man, that was another one. I will say one thing about a process that's probably true. I probably almost always have like, I mean, it used to be a notebook. Now it's my iPhone.
Yeah.
But I would come up with song titles. Oh, that sounds like a good song title. Oh, that's cool. And I would just make a note. I mean, there's probably 1,000 song titles in my iPhone right
Yeah.
now that I just say, oh, yeah, that's cool. I hear somebody say something, or I get an idea or whatever. So I had Downtown at Midnight, in my song title list coming in for this album. But I didn't know what, it kind of, the story tells itself. And then, but I didn't know exactly where it was, what's it going to be about yet. And I wanted to get in and see what do we think this music sounds like? And again, hey, I got this idea. And we kind of, as a group, okay, well, what if we kind of do this kind of cool, laid back R&B groove? And I just kind of, strummed this minor chord. It was like, okay, hold on. And of course, I have many many memories of being downtown at midnight where maybe it wasn't fun. It had gone too far, all of those that having a great time back then, being young, staying out all night. I mean, it really all started out very harmless, just young guys in their 20s, not really doing drugs, but drinking, smoking, just having a really good time. But for me, eventually then it starts to, and not, I mean, like over some years, it started to get like, it's not so fun anymore. It's a little more dark. So that's kind of where the song went. And I was like, oh yeah, how many times did you get kicked out of the house? And you're trying to figure out where to go,
Yeah.
And again, that one there, just as soon as we got the beat, the chord, it had this vibe. Man, it wrote itself. And so that was one where when we were done, I'm like, cool. I had no idea that this song would be on the album. I really do kind of like that experience because I also like it on stage. I'm selfish, so I want to have fun too. I want to be in the moment and kind of see what happens like everybody else. So that song's a good example.
Yeah. And Too Broke to Spend the Night.
Well, I didn't write that one. But it sure fits. I'm just thinking I was thinking and pulling from different things, like just who was I really listening to? Like when you asked me, like, what was your first blues record? But just once I really got into it, like what was just something I was always listening to, like Buddy Guy, just nonstop. Oh my God. And the crazier the Buddy Guy, the better for me. Stone Crazy is an album that's just, I wore it out. It's just so nuts sounding. And, I started driving to Chicago in the late 90s to play at his club. So he's just such a big influence. And I just I liked that song and I was like, oh yeah, that's like perfect for this album.
When you were writing the album, did you think, oh, what's this sound like live? What song, does it sound good live? Was it like that, or was it like a film, like a CinemaScope type of thing?
You mean just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think on this record more than ever, it was about live. And partly I think that's because like the Life is Hard record is so much like the feel of like cinema. Like it's so, it was so much emotion. It's like this record, I just wanted it to be like happy, I'm going to go out and play Forever My Love on stage at every show for the rest of my life. And I love it. And it's powerful. People seem to really love it. It takes a lot, like every night to do it and try to do it really well. It's a hard song to sing. And of course it's emotional. And it's like, hey, can we record some stuff that would just be really fun? And that was absolutely my thought on this record, was just all about the live experience of playing these songs, stuff that was just upbeat, really a good time. Because like I said, I want to have fun too. I don't want to stand there all night and sing sad songs or such serious songs. I think that's the Van Halen in me from being a kid. I wanted to sometimes just be a good time. I think people are looking for that, especially in blues. It always reminds me of B.B. King saying the blues should make you feel better, or the Coco Taylor would always say, if you leave here feeling better than you did when you got here, then I did my job. I think those are my focus at this point right now.
And what's been your best advice in your career?
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is Walter Trout saying, well, whatever you do, don't stop. I mean, those were his exact words.
Right.
And it was in one of those times early on when I'm touring, I'm trying to, I just got a record deal. I just got with an agency, crossing over to playing mostly all my music. The money's getting really tight and hard. Nobody knows who I am. The musicians in the band are nice guys, but maybe they're not, the level of guys I wish I was with, because it's all I can afford, And I remember having a conversation with him and he said, well, don't stop. Just listen. I've been through all of that. Just keep doing it. Just keep plugging away. You'll get more people out. people will be, come see you, start to make a little more money. You'll, find guys that aren't alcoholics to travel with you. When you can only afford to pay $100 a night or $75 a gig, you're going to get what you get. But that was definitely the best. And he followed it up with, because it's not over until you stop. He said, nobody else can end this thing but you. And if you stop, then it's over, I've always kept that in mind. The other one, I'll just gonna throw this in, was from Anders Osborne. I had a manager and he was he's great. He was a great manager, good. We didn't kind of line up on things. And his thing was always like, well, I think you need to play music that people want to hear. Like you're just doing what you want. And I just kept thinking, yeah, but I think I don't think I want to do what other people want. Like I want to do what I want. Like that's why I'm doing it. And Anders Osborne confirmed that to me. He said, yeah, don't go chasing after, something because you think people are going to like it. And you go and you're like just chasing styles and changing and putting on a costume and doing this and that just to try to get to be, in style right now. He's like, you just do what you do. And eventually that style will come back around and people will find you. But you just stick to what you do. That's who you are. And that is another thing that's like, that's what I'm doing right now. Like some people would tell you like, oh, you're not really stretching. You're just doing something that's old hat that's been done or you've done this before, or I guess your fans will like it, but you're not going to get any new people like, and I just go, yeah, I don't care. I like it. I like it. I like the guys I'm playing with. I like the people I play for. I like the gigs, the shows. And if it catches on and comes back around, here we are. They'll find us. But swimming around trying to find the next thing, I guarantee I'm going to be late to the game always. I'm going to get there and they're going to go, yeah, we're not into that.
Yeah.
That's a bad way. To me, that's a bad career move to try to be popular.
Have you road tested any of the songs from the new album?
Yes, we just did for the first time on the European tour. We would open the show with Outside of the East Side, which is quite a slap in the face to the audience because it's really rocking. And they responded really well. There was a time or two I thought, is it too much too soon? But oh no, right from the intro lick, they were like, yeah, they'd start going. So we did that and we did Don't Take Advantage of Me. And there's another one. We did about 3 and they went over. I think they went over really.
Did you do I Move You?
We did. That's it. We did Do I Move You? Yes. Yes.
Did that go down?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a good one live. One, that's one live that's going to take on its own. I'm excited to see what's that song going to sound like in 2 years because it's going to be a whole other thing because it's got a lot of room and space to grow. And, my brain's not working, Colin. The jazz singer, did that. It's a wonderful female jazz artist did that song. Anyway, Nina Simone, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was going to say.
Yeah, that one went over really well.
You could lose yourself in that one in solos.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's one, when I listened to it again to kind of make sure I was learning it, one thing we did on this record was we just let things go. So the ending just stretches.
Right.
And there's some, definitely the guitar playing on this record, I would do the song and I'd go back and we'd listen and I'd go, oh yeah, no, that's not enough guitar playing. Because that's not enough. Like I'm used to just like, well, that sounds good. That's enough. I was like, oh no, that's not enough. It needs to be too much. And I'd have to go back and go, okay, come on. What would you do if you were 25 and try to like just play a little too long and a little too many notes? And I'm glad I did.
Yeah, what would you say to that 25-year-old Mike Zito then?
Just keep doing what you're doing. I feel like 25-year-old Mike Zito is telling me. Is what I think. Is like, hey man, just why are you thinking so much? Just remember when you just had fun. Do you know the music store Anderton's there in the UK? Yeah. Well, they have like a, I guess you'd call it a podcast, but it's like a YouTube video channel where, they have interviews and stuff. And of course it's mostly based around guitar playing. But I had a very good interview there And one of the things was getting back to just having fun.
Mm.
Get in it's easy to get into all these things, and in that case, it was like, guitar effects and this guitar and that amp and this, equipment and blah, blah, blah. But when I was younger, it was like, yeah, I didn't have any of that. I couldn't afford that, I just had a guitar. I had a guitar and I had a whatever amp. Somehow or another, I went and had fun and did it every night, and, I wasn't always thinking about everything. And I think I'm really trying to regress a bit in that way to just stop thinking so much and go play and play what you're feeling and see what happens. I feel like we really did that on this last tour.
Mm. What does keep you motivated to keep doing this?
Um well, I still really enjoy entertaining. I really enjoy people being in front of people, and I love music. Of course, I love blues music. I always try to say I don't consider myself a, quote unquote blues artist. I'm not a black person or an African American person that this isn't my music. Rock and roll, is my
Yeah.
music. But I sure love blues. And I like the idea of, again, kind of, getting out there with the band, get in front of the audience. Let's see what's the audience going to be like? What are they bringing to the table? How am I feeling tonight? Did I drink too much coffee? What's going to happen, man? I love the idea of getting out in front of people and just going, I think I got an idea what we're gonna do, but let's see. If there's and what's interesting is if you'd go and watch a video from night to night, you'd go, "Well, it's pretty similar." But for me, there's something different about it each night because of that mindset. I'm gonna sing something a little different. I'm gonna phrase something a little different. I'm gonna get a different vibe. There's gonna be somebody in the audience that's really excited, or maybe they're not. Maybe they're not very excited. And I'm making eye contact with them and I'm going, come on, let's go. Trying to get them
Yeah.
and hopefully they get there. They come around. So I think it's the live aspect of it is that's what I want to do always is play live. I like recording and I like
Mhm.
making records, but I wouldn't want that to be the only thing I do.
And what about your relationship with Bill Murray? How did that come about? The Blues Brothers.
Well, he has quite a few brothers. Comes from a big family. And one of his brothers, John, became a fan of mine. Well, was a fan of mine, and then a fan of the Blood Brothers, Albert, and lives in one of Bill's houses up in New York, upstate, kind of takes care of it. And would come to see us in New York or when we were around, and would always, and super great guy, and always come to me and say, "Man,
Okay.
Bill's a big fan of yours, Mike. Boy, Bill really loves your music. Bill thinks Little Red Corvette's the coolest thing in the world, blah, 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 blah." And then he finally said, "Would you come to perform at this charity event that we do?" It's a golf charity thing called Caddyshack, of course. And I, yeah, I would love to. And I went, and then they said, "Bill, you guys are going to rehearse tomorrow. You're going to play, but Bill's going to get up and sing with you." It's like, oh. And then when I met Bill, I mean, the first thing he said was, "Oh my God, Mike Zito, Little Red Corvette. Oh my God, I love your version of Little Red Corvette. I listen to it all the time, blah, blah." And of course, that was amazing because I'm thinking we're going to talk about all of his movies that I know by heart. But instead, he's telling me that he knows my music, and so it was really cool. And then he sang and played with us, and it was super fun, really over the top and fun. And at the end of the show at this benefit, I just looked at him at the end of the last song, and I said, "Oh my God, that was awesome!" And he goes, "Yeah, that was really fun, right?" And I said, "Yeah, you should join the band." And he goes, "Yeah, I'll join your band." And that's just literally what happened.
Yeah.
Like 2 kids, like jamming together. And then
Yeah.
I looked and I said, "Are you serious?" And he goes, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, I think I am." And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, I am too. I want to join your band." And that was it. It was that stupid.
Yeah.
And then it took about 9 months, over 9 months, he would call, he would text, he would send songs, he'd ask questions, "Where would we play? How many songs do I have to sing? Can I play percussion in the band?" How about, just all kinds of really fun questions, and then he started showing up. He'd just go, "Where are you playing next week?" "I'm in Las Vegas." "All right, I'm gonna come out there." Blood Brothers would have a show, and he would just show up, and everybody would freak out. And that kinda turned into, "Okay, let's really do this. Let's do something." It's been great, and we're doing it again this year. I don't think we did 30 shows last year. I don't think we'll do 30 shows this year. That was
Mm.
more than anybody expected, but I think we'll do 15 or 20 shows, which is awesome.
And what about yourself? Are you coming over to the UK yourself?
Man, I am, let me tell you, pushing on
Mm-hmm.
Oliver and Guy Hale, my partners, and telling them, "Look, I got a window in the fall, and we need a good 2-week UK tour to come over," and I know they're on it. So kind of hoping part of it definitely revolves around when are we doing these Bill Murray shows,
Yeah.
because he goes and does his own thing over the summer. So I know the fall is when they're looking, but usually that's one weekend a month. So once we get the parameters, I was kind of hoping for maybe a September tour. It could be October, somewhere in there. September sounds good because it's not quite, and you live there, it gets
Yes.
further into the fall, it gets a little gloomier, a little less sunshine. September sounds nice. The weather's still good, and
Yeah.
that's my hope, because I got to come back and see all my friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else is in? Are you producing still?
I mean, I am. I mean, I produced this album,
Mm.
but really it was just, again, just me and the band, and I was just keeping it, live and fresh. I have not produced for another artist really in a while. I certainly would, but for a while there, I really had that hat on, and,
Yeah.
um, and I certainly enjoyed it. I don't know. With everything that's happened in my life and the changes that have taken place, I'm in a really good place right now where, like, I just had a vacation with daughters and saw my son in Los Angeles. And they all said, "Man, this was a great trip," because one, I wasn't working, and two, I wasn't like on the phone all the time, or it's like I've kind of simplified my musical career. I'm
Mm.
very lucky that I've been able to do so. Like, I just play shows, and I don't quite have to play as much as I used to. And I think I like the idea of not being as busy as I was, because one, I'm needed at home because I have a 16-year-old daughter still, and two, the other kids noticed that I missed out on a lot of time with my
Yeah.
older kids working too hard. I mean, I obviously it was necessary. It worked. It got me to where I'm at now. But I think if I could do it over again, maybe I wouldn't have pushed so hard, and tried to spend more time with everybody. Not to be sappy, but that's true. So I
Mm.
think that's why, like, I haven't pursued producing, or trying to find, like, more things to just constantly fill up the calendar with.
Yeah. But you're more happy,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
that's what
definitely.
matters. Yeah. What are your hopes and fears for the album?
I don't think I have any fears. I mean, I think people will like it, and people that like me will like it. Like, I think a lot of longtime fans will be like, "Oh, wow, cool, you're really getting crazy on the guitar again."
Yeah.
You know, I think that's been really, really kind of, freeing to just like, just go crazy. Who cares?
Light up.
My hopes are that, obviously always, that maybe this is that time when what I'm doing becomes popular again. And they're like, "Wow, check this guy out." And I've definitely had quite a few opportunities, and nice things happening. We're going on the Bonamassa cruise, the Keeping the Blues Alive cruise, again next week, and I get to go on with this album and this band, and, that's a guitar crowd through and
Yeah.
through, and I feel like I'm gonna get to present them with my best guitar show yet. So, there's some fun stuff going on. So I hope yeah, I mean, I do. I'd love downtown at midnight or something to, like, be in a movie, get picked up for something. I'd just love for it to do well, but that's all. We don't ever make a record to win an award. Just wanna, it's kinda like, they asked Jerry Seinfeld years ago when he was doing his TV show Seinfeld, "What is your favorite episode?" And he said, "Whatever one we're doing right now,
Yeah.
so that we can do another one." That's so I love this record. Whenever people come up to the table and go, "You have all these records, which one should I buy?" I always say the new one, because that's the one I'm
Yeah,
into right now, and hopefully it'll get me to another one.
absolutely.
Yeah.